One nation, one tax, one market. With this theme in mind, GST is introduced in the country. It's been almost 4 years since GST came into effect in India, and because of this reason, I hope you already know about the topic which we are going to discuss in this video. If someone asks you what are the different types of GST, then you will definitely going to say CGST, SGST and IGST. But I have a doubt here. If these are really the different types of GST, then this is contradicting the main theme, that is one nation, one tax, one market, under which GST is introduced in the country. Or whatever we know as types of GST, they are not actually the types of GST, they could be something else. If you have these doubts or questions in your mind, then this is the video you need to watch, because that's what we are going to find out in this video. GST, components, types with a big question mark. Before discussing the classification or the components, or popularly known the types of GST, let us take few illustrations or instances, and at the end of these instances or examples which I am going to give, you will understand what are these components in an easy way.
Welcome friends to the circle of knowledge called Avi's Academy. You are at the right place if you are learning commerce, management and economics at undergraduation and post-graduation level, and if you are one of those who have thirst for knowledge.
Let us consider our first instance. Here, a seller in Mangalore supplies a goods that attracts a GST of 18% to a buyer in Chennai. Since this is an interstate supply, nothing but the transaction is occurring between the states, that is state of Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, this will attract IGST, and the seller of Mangalore will charge IGST of 18% on the bill and then supplies the bill along with the product to the buyer in Chennai. This means that whenever there is interstate transaction, IGST is applicable. Therefore, we can say IGST or integrated GST is a tax that are levied on interstate supplies. Now we will consider our second instance. Let us assume the same seller who is in Mangalore is supplying the product to a buyer in Bidar. Since this is a supply and it is happening within the state, GST is applicable, but GST is now split into two categories, CGST and SGST. As I said, the rate of GST is 18%. Since it is split into two categories, now CGST of 9%, SGST of 9% is charged. This means CGST is nothing but a tax which is levied on within state supplies. Similarly, SGST is also nothing but a tax which is levied on within state supply, but only thing that differs is whatever the tax which is collected as CGST, that goes to the central government, and whatever is collected as a tax, that goes to the state government where the consumption happens. Now we will consider an interesting case. Since we all know India is a union of union territories and states, we will consider a case of a union territory. We will take our same seller who is in Mangalore. Now he is selling the goods to a union territory. We will assume he is selling the goods to Ladakh. Ladakh is a union territory now, we all know that. So now this is a transaction which is occurring between one state and a union territory. This is like interstate supply, hence IGST is charged on this transaction. If we are taking one more example where let us assume the transaction is happening within the union territory. We will take another union territory of India, which is Andaman and Nicobar Island. Now let us assume a seller in Andaman, maybe in Port Blair, he is selling the product to a place in Nicobar Island. Since the transaction is happening or occurring within the union territory, on this transaction we need to charge CGST and SGST. CGST is charged and the tax that are charged as CGST, that goes to the central government. On the other hand, SGST we can't charge because this is a union territory. Hence we are renaming the SGST as UTGST, that is Union Territory GST. There are many more such examples, and this concept we will be studying in detail in a concept called place of supply. Now coming back to our question which we asked at the beginning of this video, whether CGST, SGST and IGST are really the types of GST. If they are really the types of GST, whether it is contradicting the theme one nation, one tax, one market under which GST is introduced? The answer to this question we have already been discussed in the illustrations or the examples which we have given on the applicability of GST. In the case of interstate supply, that is if the transaction occurs between the states, we call the GST as integrated GST. On the other hand, if the transaction occurs within the state, we split the GST into CGST and SGST. This is like nicknaming a person. For example, we call Mahendra Singh Dhoni as the finisher and Captain Cool. Similarly, GST is called as IGST, CGST and SGST. And again, this classification is done just to indicate which state or which government is receiving the tax. That's the only reason of renaming GST as IGST and SGST and CGST. Therefore, no matter what we call to the types or classification or the components of GST, one thing that still remains, GST is still a one nation, one tax.
Thank you guys for watching the video. If you like the video, give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel by clicking subscribe button. If you want to share the video, you can share the video because you can learn to share and share to learn. If you want to get continuous notification, click the bell icon there. And if you have any comments, doubts, clarification, please write here. Thank you once again. Thank you all.